11th September 2001. 19 people reached different airports in America to hijack 4 major planes. Teams of 5 were made for each plane, and every man had an important role. They had been training for months for this mission. Finally, the 4 planes departed from their respective airports, and just as they took off, the hijackers started executing their plan. As per the plan, only 15 minutes after taking off, the first plane was hijacked. 5 hijackers stood up inside the plane, and with the help of small box cutters, they very quickly took control. They killed the pilots and made Mohammed Atta sit in the pilot's seat. All passengers were pushed to the back of the plane and were clearly told that the pilots had been killed, and now only Mohammed Atta could land the plane. This made all the passengers stay silent and scared, but the hijackers never intended to land the plane. While Mohammed Atta was explaining all this to the passengers, he accidentally pressed a button that directly connected the plane to the New York airport's control tower. He said, "Everyone stay calm. We are taking the plane back towards the airport." Hearing this, confusion spread inside the airport tower. They quickly cleared the runway and got ready for the plane to land. But again, Mohammed Atta mistakenly reconnected to the airport tower and said, "Nobody move, please. We are going back to the airport. Don't try to make any stupid moves." Seriously, how can someone be so relaxed during such a dangerous mission? Anyway, the plane was originally headed from Boston to Los Angeles, a long journey. But Mohammed Atta turned the plane 100 degrees toward New York. As the plane got closer to New York City, it started descending rapidly, making everyone think it was coming down to land at the airport. Thus, the airport officials kept waiting for the plane. But a lot of time passed, and the plane never arrived. People at the airport were confused. Where did the plane go? Then someone reported that the plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. At this moment, only the airport staff knew the truth. The media didn't know yet, so the news channels started showing it as just a big accident. Meanwhile, the second plane was also hijacked, again following a timed plan. The attackers wanted the second plane's crash to be watched live by the entire world. Marwan Al-Shehhi, who was only 23 years old, hijacked the second plane and sat in the pilot's seat. Instead of Los Angeles, he also turned the plane toward New York. While all news channels were broadcasting the first crash, the second plane was seen coming at full speed toward the World Trade Center. At first, people were confused. Then they realized this was no accident. This was a planned attack. Right after that, the American Army went on full high alert. An order was given for all planes to land immediately. But 2 more planes were still hijacked, and no one knew what their targets were. The third plane was being flown by Hani Hanjour. He turned the plane toward Washington, D.C. As he got closer, he brought the plane low and increased the speed. The plane headed straight toward the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. After the Pentagon attack, all news channels shifted their focus from the World Trade Center to the Pentagon. But still, 1 plane was missing. The U.S. Army tracked its direction and realized it was also heading toward Washington. It looked like its target could be the Capitol building, America's Parliament. The Vice President gave orders to shoot the plane down, even if it meant killing the passengers. By now, 3 planes had hit their targets. The 4th plane had not yet reached its target. Ziad Jarrah was flying the 4th plane. By the time this plane was hijacked, the news about earlier attacks had already spread. Ziad Jarrah lied to the passengers, telling them that they were returning to the airport. But one of the passengers managed to call his wife. His wife told him, "Don't believe them. It's a suicide mission." The passenger then told everyone else on board. They decided, if we're going to die anyway, let's fight back. All passengers attacked the hijackers together. Ziad Jarrah tried to shake the plane violently, but the passengers managed to reach the cockpit. They were about to break the door when Ziad Jarrah full-throttled the plane downward. The fourth plane crashed before reaching the target. Now, all news channels started covering the crash of the fourth plane too. Within just an hour, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed, killing about 1,000 people. Shortly after, the North Tower also collapsed, killing about 1,600 more people. In total, about 3,000 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks. Among them, 200 people jumped from the top floors of the building because of the fire. But the real question arose, could plane crashes and fire alone cause the complete collapse of the massive steel-framed World Trade Center buildings? You see? Steel melts at temperatures between 1,370 degrees Celsius to 1,500 degrees Celsius. But jet fuel burns at a maximum of about 980 degrees Celsius to 1,100 degrees Celsius. And according to some reports, it was only about 600 degrees Celsius inside the buildings. While that temperature can weaken steel, studies show that at around 600 degrees Celsius, steel loses about 50% of its strength. If it gets hotter, the steel becomes even softer, almost like rubber. Still, the buildings collapsed straight down, almost at free-fall speed, like a controlled demolition. If the collapse had been due to fire alone, the buildings would have fallen unevenly. And this is where the conspiracy theories began. Many people inside and around the building said that even after the planes hit, they heard small explosions on the lower floors. Some even said it was like bombs going off, floor after floor after floor, meaning there might have been explosives planted inside the building beforehand. The collapse looked more like a planned, controlled demolition. But if I say that all of this might have been government planned, maybe. Because one day before September 11th, on September 10th, 2001, something happened that the world hardly noticed. The Pentagon announced that $2.3 trillion from the government's accounting records was missing. Yes, trillions of dollars missing from the government budget. And then came 11 September 2001, 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. Was it just a coincidence? Or was all of this a planned distraction so that the world would forget about the missing money? Now, here's a fun fact. Do you know who was supposed to have a meeting at the Twin Towers on September 11th? Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael Jackson had a proper meeting scheduled there. But he missed the meeting because he had stayed up late the previous night and overslept. And that's why he wasn't there during the terrorist attack. It's very hard to believe that something like this could happen. But we all know that Michael Jackson's life was full of dark theories. And that's why some people believe that Michael Jackson already knew about 9/11. For more such amazing videos, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.